All right, hello. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Can you please state your name
Fabrice Gray,
and how old are you?
19 years old.
And what year in college are you?
I'm a current sophomore, class of 2024.
All right. So, do you actively participate on the social media app platform TikTok?
I watch videos. I do not post to the platform, but I do enjoy and watch it.
Okay. When did you download it and start using it? Was it before the pandemic, during?
It was pre-pandemic, right before the pandemic actually started. So my senior year of high school. What was the second part of that question?
Yeah, that was it. Just
Okay.
when you started using it. So it was
hmm
before the pandemic.
It was pre-pandemic, yes.
So since you downloaded it before the pandemic, how has your overall time spent on TikTok changed from before, as opposed to during or like after when things started to open up more?
So, well, I can basically just describe my whole, kind of journey with TikTok. It started off as a joke. I got it just because a few of my friends were posting funny stuff on there. I was not really interested in the platform whatsoever. And then and that was pre-pandemic. During the pandemic, I quickly got hooked to TikTok, especially because when you're on the app, you cannot see the time. So it was really easy for me to just continue scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for hours nonstop. And then as school restarted, businesses started to open, and the U.S., the world started to open. Um, I my consumption of TikTok has gone down.
Since the world started to reopen?
Yes.
Okay. How did your screen time on TikTok, from the onset of the pandemic to the present day, like compare to your screen time on other social media apps, such as Instagram, Twitter, other before the pandemic?
My consumption of TikTok has, during the pandemic and afterwards, increased exponentially compared to any other of the social medias that I am a part of, that I use. TikTok is definitely the social media that I use the most.
And do you think that that is like because the pandemic? Do you think it was spurred, or do you think that TikTok was like on the rise like that already? Doesn't matter. Say the pandemic doesn't happen. Do you see that happening?
I don't think it would have happened at the rate that it did without the pandemic. Yes, it was a up and coming an app, but I mean, there's been many iterations of that same app, such as Vine, and Musically, and they never reached the level that TikTok did, and I think that was because because of the pandemic and because of trends and being stuck at home all day. It really went viral and accelerated at a pace that no other app has seen before. And
Yeah.
I for sure played a part in that. I was very on TikTok. I still am today. I spend a lot of time on TikTok as my
Okay.
choice of social media.
So, do you think that the pandemic significantly changed the way that people use TikTok during the pandemic, and then now that things have started opening up, now that how they use it now?
um I would say that it's very similar. I mean, the way people use TikTok, post and use it, is it hasn't really changed since the pandemic. I would say that during the pandemic, a huge part of TikTok was that everyone was very interconnected into their phone because they were not connected with their they were connected with their phone because they were not connected with the world. So trends and whatever was viral was was very it was very easy. It was easier for it to latch on during the pandemic, and then post pandemic, you're beginning to become more connected with the world. There are still trends. There's still, it's still very viral, but I do believe that technology and TikTok was just very it was very toxic for some people, so a lot of people dropped it, including myself. Dropped my time on it, at least.
Okay. If there wasn't a pandemic, do you think there would still be like the current hype that TikTok has, the like culture of all the celebrities that come from it around TikTok and its usage?
I think there would be, but there wouldn't be as much of it. Like, it's still very present. Like, there would still be TikTok influencers. There would still be trends and, whatever's viral, as, as there are with any social media, but it would not be to the magnitude that it was without the pandemic, because so many people were plugged into technology during the pandemic. The pandemic was a very antisocial time, and with that lack of, the social life that we had, technology really dominated, and it was really, a lot of people's lives were, impacted, and they were very connected into technology. So, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So did you engage with friends and other people online through the TikTok platform during the pandemic while you were locked at home?
Yes, during the pandemic, that was a way that I, you know, it was an easy way to make my friends laugh, because it wasn't the same as me being able to make jokes in front of them. I could just send them a funny TikTok that might have reminded me of them, and I could send them that. So yeah, I spent hours with my friends, sending back and forth TikToks. So it was a way to communicate.
Okay.
It really was, which is very interesting. But yeah.
And you saw that TikTok was the app that you would use the most rather than other social media apps during the pandemic?
Yes, and that's because it was a fresh new app that mimicked an app that was pretty popular in past years, Vine. So being that it was a fresh new app, and it was what was cool. It was what was recent. It was what was trending, almost, as you can say. So for sure, the one that my usage increased. My usage increased a lot during the pandemic.
Okay, so do you think so? You've kind of mentioned that you think the pandemic really accelerated and blew up TikTok much more quickly than it might have organically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that was positive or negative for yourself or for other college students in general?
Um, I think it was positive in the sense that a lot of TikToks are, designed to just make you have a quick laugh. I think it was negative in the sense that because of, the pandemic and technology kind of working hand in hand, it made a lot of people antisocial, especially myself. It's very easy to be so plugged into technology, and that can take away, and that can kind of, keep you very funneled in, or very focused in on that rather than everything else. So that's why I would say, it negatively impacted many people, the antisocial aspects of it. But so I would say both. There are upsides, and there are pros and cons. There are detriments, and things that are beneficial. So yeah.
Okay. So, do you think that like the way that current college students are using these social media apps and TikTok specifically, um, do you think it's changed the culture around student life in general?
Mm-hmm.
I know you were in high school when all boomed, so you haven't really seen firsthand the student life, but maybe what you thought was like student life compared to now with TikTok kind of dominating young people's culture today.
Yeah. Coming into college, I wasn't really sure what life was going to be like. It's hard for me to say what life would be like without TikTok, because that's something that dominates our lives at this period of time. Um, Looking at for me, what I compared college to is what I watched on TV growing up, and that is very different than the trends that you see on TikTok. TikTok, it has created a lot of trends, and things that are viral that definitely have impacted the day to day of college students. What shoes are cool to wear at college, what type of what foods to eat, the whipped coffee type thing. it it definitely, I believe it for sure altered the college experience. I TikTok, um, college pre and post pandemic and pre and post TikTok are two different things. I believe. I really think that college before and college after is probably very different. That's what I assume.
Hmm. Okay. And do you see that so you see like the TikTok culture and trends that are very active on campus?
Hmm.
And do you see that as something that is positive, something that is negative? Do you see both?
Definitely both. Positive, just because there's always cool things that you're trying and people are sharing it, and then it goes viral, and that can be very positive. Just trying new things, but it could also be very negative. You're trying to be something that you're not. You're trying to afford shoes that you can't afford, or you see people with shoes that you want, and that makes you feel bad that you can't follow that trend. So that can also be kind of negative. Socially, people like there's a lot of TikTok posts that are very toxic, or TikTok posts that you see a couple and you're single and stuff like that, and you kind of envy that. So and that can kind of damage your mental health. Just always being surrounded by stuff that you might want and that you cannot have. So that has been very negative, and have definitely affected the mental health of students. Jealousy and envy and all those types of things, and that a lot of that TikTok is to blame for.
Do you think that that is something that is TikTok specific or just like social media in general?
Um, it's definitely social media in general, but for a person of my age and the age younger me, which is very much so a TikTok generation, that is kind of the most that is the biggest social media, the same way that Facebook is was huge for my older brother. So it's social media in general, but it was just the current social media that affected us.
Do you see that TikTok do you see an argument that TikTok might have been maybe more authentic than other social media apps just because of like through the pandemic and the way that its platform is set up in the video sharing? Do you see that?
Yeah, I could see that for sure. There's a lot of positivity throughout TikTok, which I'm a very big supporter of. What I like to see on my feed, um, and growing up, that's not something I always saw on Instagram, Facebook. People posting very extravagant stuff, or hanging out with cool people, and it creates a lot of jealousy. But um, I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit, but what was the question again? I'm sorry, I lost it a
Just
bit.
the comparisons of TikTok to
Other
other
social.
social media apps in like authenticity and
Oh
maybe
yeah,
those bad effects of social media in general that you talked about.
yeah. I think they're very present across social medias. Like TikTok has a lot of positivity, but so does other social media platforms. I don't think it's any different. It's just the one that is most current right now.
Okay.
I would say.
And then lastly, kind of just to sum it all up, do you see the way that people engage and spread TikTok throughout the college campus specifically is different now coming out of the pandemic versus when we were locked inside versus before?
Um, one other thing to the previous question. One thing I do like about TikTok and how it's authentic is that it is creative. Like you do make videos. You can let your creativity run free, and that's something that can be appreciated a lot. In terms of how TikTok is shared, and you know uh, pre and post pandemic. I would say no. I would say that it's shared the same ways, maybe not the same volume, just because people are, more, not as stuck into their phone. And if we're going onto a college campus, more kids are in libraries again. More kids are engaging at dining halls. They're allowed to join clubs. They're not, stuck in a dorm room with nothing to do but to look at a screen, if it's a computer screen or a phone screen. So I would say it shared the same, but the volume is what is really, really what has changed pre and post pandemic.
So, do you think that um, TikTok as an app in general has affected those, you kind of mentioned it earlier, affected those, the social life maybe of people coming back to college campuses in general and getting involved in clubs and activities, and like you said, the dining hall and the library? Do you see that?
For sure. Well, when you look at TikTok and you look at, you see, if we talk about college, for example, and the more you talk about college, eventually on TikTok, your college feed, your feed's going to be full of college posts, and you'll just have expectations of what to and what to not expect from TikTok, rather than actually going to experiencing them yourself. So that in that instance, that has kind of shifted social life, and it has made kids have higher expectations, or certain expectations, because of their TikTok feeds, if that answers your question.
Yeah. And then, do you see a an effect from before the pandemic and after the pandemic in just overall screen time and usage of your phone due to TikTok?
um in terms of I would say that pre-pandemic I wasn't using TikTok as much, and I used my other apps a lot more. During the pandemic, my overall screen time just increased. Like, I was using a lot of TikTok, and I was using a lot of my other apps, but mainly TikTok, obviously. And then post pandemic, I would say that my general app consumption has gone down. TikTok is still one of the apps that I enjoy the most, so that my screen time is there the most. But my screen time in total has decreased post pandemic.
Okay.
As we approach post pandemic.
What about compared to before the
Compared
pandemic?
to before, a lot of it for me personally was a lot of maturing, and just I'm very sick of constantly being on a screen. So my overall usage has gone down compared to pre-pandemic, where I wasn't as connected to a screen, which was a function of the pandemic making me more connected to my screen.
Okay.
So it has definitely gone down, but that's just for me as a person, because I've just had way too much technology.
Do you
this
do you
past year
see
and a half.
do you see that as different for generally college students, or the same, or what?
I think that um, I'm not sure. I would assume that a lot of the technology consumption has gone down, or the technology usage has gone down um, since post pandemic compared to pre and during the pandemic.
Okay.
That's what I would assume.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.